Hello! Today we're going to talk about fear. We're going to talk about the fear of being perceived, the fear of looking stupid, the fear of losing, the fear of success, the fear of life. Let's talk all about it. But firstly, what is fear? Fear, as defined by Google, is a perceived danger. So when we instinctively feel fear, it is mostly because of survival instinct, right? Because our brains all throughout evolution have evolved, but our basic animalistic primal instincts remain the same, right? So when we fear, it doesn't matter if we're fearing, a lion in the jungle, or if we're fearing, to hit the post on a social media story. But it is kind of similar to us. It is kind of similar in our mind, that both of these things weigh equally in our mind. No. Anyways, what I wanted to first touch on was the grand scheme of things, the grand scheme of fear. Now, I wrote this down that on a larger level, fear heavily shapes the systems around us. Institutions are founded in fear, rewarding those who comply and punishing those who question. Caution is favored over curiosity, and we are told by those in power to believe without examining all the available information. These components work in tandem to keep us silent. So, this I wrote in accordance with mostly politics, but also to an extent education as well. So, mostly we are rewarded for being compliant, for being a good student, for being a good citizen. And that involves us not raising our voice, right? Mostly. And that, I think, ties into fear very well, because that has been our conditioning growing up. The second thing I want to talk about, so I want to talk about three types of fears. The first fear was the fear of looking stupid. Like, this video can make me look stupid to, like, I don't know, 100 people, but am I going to stop that from making me happy? The first kind of fear I want to talk about is the fear of your own future self. Now, I want to talk about this in three basic points. So, the first point, I really want to establish what I mean by this. So, there was a research by Hal Hershfield, who's a UCLA professor, and he basically found out through MRIs of a lot of people that they were asked to visualize themselves, they were asked to visualize their future self and a celebrity that they didn't know. So when they visualized themselves, they thought of themselves. But when they visualized themselves in the future, they thought of a stranger. So that gap between themselves and the stranger is what basically causes the fear of your own future self. So why we don't save money, why we don't go to the gym, why we delay things that we know will change our lives, we're basically sacrificing ourselves for a stranger. We're thinking of ourselves and perceiving ourselves as a stranger. And if success means becoming that stranger and losing parts of who you are so comfortable with, which is yourself, it becomes really scary. So I think that explains the basis of what I'm trying to say. The second thing I really want to talk about was there's we have these perceived notions of who we are, right? So Bani has three adjectives attached to her that have been attached to her since her birth, right? Not birth, but like since her school days. So she wants to follow those, she wants to do stuff that will continue to like self-verify her identity, and this is called the self-verification theory by William Swan. So people seek out feedback that confirms who they already believe they are, even if that belief might be negative. So for example, if I think I am very like self-limiting, I'd want to hear it from people that I am self-limiting, so that they can affirm what I am already thinking, and hence I believe, oh, I'm so self-aware, even though that's not really quite it. Third point I want to talk about was the fear of losing people as you change. So, the fear of becoming your future self also comes with the fear of shedding down who you are, and who you are constitutes of the people around you and also the stuff you love. So, that is something that you decide if you want to sacrifice, and for the most part, I have come to realize that it is a very hard thing to sacrifice, and maybe that is why I have been holding myself back for so many months or maybe years, because staying small can be a way of keeping people close, but you have to realize that the people who actually want you and the people who love you will be there for you no matter what, right? And the fear of losing someone and the fear of your future self are sometimes the same fear in disguise. Second fear, the fear of looking stupid, the fear of being an embarrassment to yourself, to your family, to the whole face of earth, the fear that everyone looks at you and perceives you. Oh my god. Now, this fear I can relate to so hard in the fact that I have gone through so many cycles of, just, okay, let me explain it from my point of view. So ever since I was a child, I have been very outspoken, very extroverted. I have always, participated in competitions. I have always been in the student council, done a lot of stuff, done a lot of extracurriculars, done a lot of public speaking, done a lot of stuff that I think was embarrassing, and I have gone through it so many times that at this point of time, it doesn't quite affect me in the way that it affects other people. So seeing other people get affected by it makes me tell them to just do it, just go for it. And that's probably how other people who have conquered the first fear feel about me, to just say just do it, because in the end how you conquer the fear is by going through it. There is no running from it, right? And so I remember in the second week of college, I felt feeling of embarrassment coming up again. So I remember going with my friends and just I had a random sock which my senior gave it to me, and we just went around and did street interviews with the sock puppet on my hand for no reason at all. So just using your free will to make yourself embarrassed at moments helps. I've also sang in front of the college. Dance. I've done a lot of things, not even in college, just with my friends. Even if we're hanging out, I make it a point to do something a bit embarrassing just once. And it's not something that I have to force now, because it's not embarrassing to me, but it's just something I like to keep in practice, to remind myself that, it's okay to be embarrassed. And it's quite fun, actually. It's quite fun to realize that no one really gives a shit about you. No one really gives a shit. And no one's, judging your every move. If they are judging you, you're part of 5 minutes of their day, 5 minutes of their 24 hours. So it doesn't. The third and final fear, it's not really a fear. I'm just telling you that you're fearing the wrong things. And I am trying to be less advicey. I don't want to give you advice, because I don't think I have achieved a lot to give you advice. I'm in a good college. I have had a good school life. I have done a few things other than that, but I've not really achieved success, right, in my definition. So I don't want to give you advice, but I just, from my observation, people are fearing the wrong things. You're fearing rejection, you're fearing stupidity, you're fearing, just being a human. What else are we gonna do if not all of this? We are here on earth to be, in our shells, to be, this. I don't fucking get it. We can do whatever we want, and fear is a feeling that is holding us back. Decision will override that fear. So the only way to you cannot prevent fear. The only way to override that fear is through decisions, right? So you make choices. You just say, let's just go for it. And you do that. And when you do that, there will be another thing that you have to do that will also have fear in the way. That is just the life. That is what you will have to go through. And if you get over one fear, maybe there's another fear. Maybe after this part of my life, after this section of my life, I fear, becoming too in my mind, or I fear something else, which is not a fear for other people. So this is something that you have to think about. And understand what it means for you, because everyone has a different definition of it. So think about it, understand what it signifies to you, and then start working on it. Don't just absorb this information and be like, ये इस पे काम करना है, but like how does it apply to you, you know? So that's all I wanted to say. And again, it is a beautiful, beautiful day. The birds are chirping, the sun is out, and I am very happy. This is just something that I have been thinking and feeling a lot of lately. And I have also noticed the fact that it kind of makes you like paralyzed, like to a point where you want to do anything other than that thing, right? So I mean, that is also procrastination, but I think when you can feel it when there's fear present. So when I wanted to like study in like 12th grade, I wasn't, fearful of, scoring good marks in boards or something. That was not fear induced procrastination. That was just straight up, procrastination. But right now, like when I doom scroll on my phone, for example, I know what I'm avoiding and I know what is causing it. But like that is kind of like an escape or like a way to like buffer time without actually buffering it. Like, so the day goes by faster, which is something that I don't quite want. So why am I doing that? The answer is fear. So yeah, I'm just ranting at this point. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Have a great, great day, and I wish you all the very best. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Bye.